So you're on the ride and you're like, oh my gosh, my sit bones, my saddle sores, my butt, my undercarriage does not feel right. These are some things that you can do on the trail to help your undercarriage feel better while you're out there instead of waiting and going through the long, arduous path of trying to find a new saddle. First thing that you can do is one, get up out of the saddle more. Get onto your feet. Let your butt have a rest break. Let your undercarriage have a rest break. This is one of the easiest ways to help yourself in that immediate time. One, you don't even have to get off the bike. And two, sometimes we need more blood flow. Sometimes we need more just pressure off of this zone. If you are cycling outside, then this may not be quite as applicable because you need to be on the saddle more, and your saddle matters even that much more for you. Whenever you're mountain biking, we need to make sure that if you're going through a more bumpy zone, that or more technical zone, that we get up and out of the saddle, because if you're on it, then you're going to be riding in and absorbing this shock through your pelvis bones and through your undercarriage. And getting up and out of the saddle can help you a ton with that. The next thing that you can do without even getting off of the saddle is change the tilt of your pelvis. This change of the pelvis can help you weight more forward or help you weight more rearwards. And this just slight change in understanding of how to move your pelvis can help you with where should you actually be sitting on the saddle. And as you tilt forward, you may want to scoot your butt back on the actual seat. And this may help you to actually be on the part of the saddle that you want to be sitting on with your sit bones. And so if you look at an actual saddle, part of where you want to be sitting with your actual sit bones is kind of the biggest part of the saddle, and maybe just a little bit forward and back in this window here. And so as you're doing this movement of you're tilting your pelvis forward, that may allow you to sit more in this main meat of the saddle to help you with the cushioning and the system that the saddle has brought you in is trying to support you in. Sometimes you need to tilt back for your pelvis, and this can make you shift forward with your actual sit bones, and that will help you sit more into I call it the meat of where the saddle is supporting you. And both of those are good depending on what position you were in to start with, because you may have been too tilted forward of what I call doing the stripper booty, or you may be too collapsed into it, and you need to sit up straight a little bit more with your body and your posture. And so the posture of your body, the posture of your pelvis matters for how your pressure is going to feel on the actual saddle, and also where the front part of your undercarriage and how that's going to feel sitting in. Because sometimes if you tilt your butt forward, then now puts a whole lot of pressure in on the front part that we don't want, because that front part's not meant to hold a ton of pressure and to hold it for a long period of time. And there's times that you want to shift your butt forward and back for climbing wise or for different techniques, but this is what I'm talking about for longevity wise. And so tilting your pelvis can make a huge difference into how you can sit and stay on the actual saddle. And if you're not able to stay in that position, then tip number 3 is that we may want to move your actual saddle. And so sometimes we need to move it forward, and that can help with your reach. So if you don't feel like you are able to reach in, hold onto the grips quite as well, then you may want to shift your seat forward some. This will change the dynamics of where your pedal is underneath your butt. As you shift forward, usually you'll use more quads as you climb and as you ride, and if you shift back, you'll tend to use more hamstrings and glutes. And that's kind of a reference point. Typically, you want to be sort of in the middle of your actual gauge here, but sometimes we need to change how the bike fits us differently and the reach fits us differently. This may also be a time that you need to change your actual stem length, or how much rise your actual handlebars have, how much elevation they have and relevance. And so if you find that you need this to shift forward, but it feels funny for your legs and your knees, then maybe putting a riser bar that comes up, that will help you with basically decreasing the reach that you need to have for your bike. And so changing that just forward and back makes a huge difference. Also, changing the tilt can be a huge play in that you may want to do while you're out there on the trail, because you can feel the difference and play around with it best possible way that you can. As you're changing the tilt, know that usually this position where it's tilted up is rarely the winner, because now you're going to put more pressure on the front part and your back part's going to feel like it's almost sliding off a little bit. Usually we want level or just a slight, ever so slightly tilt down. And that is because as it tilts down, you'll want to arch your back a little bit. And as you're engaging your core, then that's when you can shift your butt back, and it will help you almost seat into the meat part of the saddle a little bit better. It'll help you stay there. If you have too much tilt down, then you'll find that you'll want to slide forward and off. And that in and of itself can give you saddle sores and issues as well. If you are looking for how do I figure out how to find the right saddle, check out this video I have here, and it will go over some of the width parts, how flat or curved off that you may want your actual saddle, so you can see how flat this guy is and how curved this guy is. I myself prefer a flat saddle versus a curved saddle based on my anatomy and how I'm built. So check out that video if you have questions on that stuff and how to help yourself find the right saddle. But these are ways that you can mess with your saddle that you currently have and see if you can make it better fit yourself and help relieve some things on the trail. Bye, y'all.